Okay, so before creating a script, we're gonna need two variables, which are the tiles and the player. Okay, that's player. Drag the tiles in, drag the player in. I'll just make the tile a little bit bigger. There you go, and then the player a little bit bigger. Okay, I'll also make that 0, 0. Okay, and what we need to add for the player is box collider 2D and a rigid body 2D, and what we need to add for tiles is a box collider 2D. Okay, so now they should collide. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now we're gonna make the script. Okay, to make the script, I'll call it player movement script. Okay, and then we're gonna have to drag that into the player. As you can see, it's right here. Let's just open it. Yes. Okay. Okay, so we need some variables. We need a movement speed variable. So let's have a public float movement speed. Movement speed. And we also need to reference the rigid body 2D. So rigid body 2D, I'll call it rig in here. And we also need to reference it in the start. So this is rig equals get component and the rigid body 2D, and then close that off. Okay, so now that we referenced it, we can use it later on. Okay, so we're gonna need a void fixed update. Okay, and to start it off, we need to get the input from the user, and then we'll do things based on the input. Okay, so what we're doing is we have to make a float movement speed input equals to actually I'll call it movement input because I'm lazy and I don't want to type that much. Movement input equals input dot get axes, and then we have to name this horizontal. Okay. What horizontal does is that in Unity, right? In Unity, horizontal is okay. Let me show you. In Unity, horizontal is project settings, I think. Okay, input axis horizontal right here. So when player press left or right key from your right side, or the A and D key from your left side, you'll get a value back, pretty much. Okay, so that's horizontal. It pretty much means get axes off key A and D, or left and right, pretty much. And then we need to use that in as in the next line, which is rig dot velocity, because we're trying to change the player's velocity so you could actually move. Change that into equals new vector 2, and then we're going to use the movement input times it by movement speed, and then we have to relate back to the rig dot velocity dot y. Okay, that should work. Yeah, I think that should work. Okay, so let's see. So when I press left and right, it's not working. Oh, because I have to set the movement speed. I'll change that to 10. As you can see, they're now working. Okay, that is fine. Okay, so now we're gonna work with the flip. What I'll do, since my whole box is white and you can't tell if it's left and right, so what I'll do is I'll make a little circle, whatever, I don't really care what name to call it, and I'll just put it here. Okay, I'll make parent of player, so when the player moves it will follow the player. Okay, so that's not flipping. Okay, so we're gonna make it flip. Okay, so when the player starts it will be looking right. Okay, I'll show you. See, it's looking right. So we'll make a bool called private bool look right equals true. So when the program first begins, right, it will set look right equals to true. Okay, so now we're gonna need a flipping, right? So I'll make a private void flip char, and then we need to reference back to float movement input. Okay, so what we're doing in this void is we have to put all the flipping codes in here, and then we can reference it later on to use it. Okay, so look right equals not look right. Okay, and then here's where the actual flipping happens, or the code for the flipping. Okay, so we have to transform dot rotate, I think, dot rotate, and then we have to use vector2 dot up times by 180, which would flip the character. Okay, so now in here we need to make a if statement to meet before flipping, right? Because we don't want the player to flip whenever he wants, right? We want the player to flip when the player is walking to the left or when he's walking to the right. Okay, so we need to do that. So what we're doing is we have to put movement input is bigger than 0. So when the player's input is bigger than 0, then and it's not looking right, or movement input is less than 0 and look right, then we flip the character. I have to reference it back. Okay, so what this if statement does is that when the player's input is bigger than 0 and not looking right, so what this means is when the player is looking left or when the player is looking right, then do this. Okay, so now that should work. Okay, as you can see, it's working perfectly fine. Okay, now to set up for the jumping, we're gonna need a 2D object sprite. We're gonna put that, actually we're gonna change the color of it to this, and then we'll put it right under player. Okay, that's fine. And when that is done, we're gonna make a new layer called ground. Okay, called ground, and then we're gonna have to add that layer to the tiles. Okay, add ground layer to tiles. Okay, so when that is done, we have to go back to our script. We need to add a couple things. Jumping. Okay, so what I need to add is a public int jump force. Okay, and then we also need to add a private bool grounded. Also have to add a public transform, check ground. Oh, also have to add a public float, check radius. Okay, also have to add a public layer mass. What is ground, to tell the system what the ground is, which is the ground that we've made before, which is the layer, right, which is the tiles. Okay, so we also need to add private int extra jumps. Extra jumps. Okay, we also need to add a public layer. I mean a public int extra jumps value. Okay, so that's the list of variables that we're gonna make, and let's set it up in start. So what we need to do is extra jumps equals extra jumps value. Okay, so that's to start us off, and we need to set the grounded bool. So grounded equals to physics 2D dot overlap circle, and then okay, oh, don't need that. We have to check the ground first, dot position, and then we check the radius, which is check radius, and then we also need to understand what the ground is, so we need to check the ground as well. Okay, so that's pretty much everything in fixed update. Now what we do in update is to check if we're touching the ground, it's true, then we gotta take away one jump value. Okay, so to do the if statement, it's to check if grounded equals to true, right? Then we have to take away one jump, which is extra jumps value. Actually, extra jumps equals extra jumps values minus 1. Okay. Okay, so that should be pretty decent. Alright, so and now we have to check for the keys. So when the player press the key to jump, right? So we have to set it up as well. So if input input dot get key down, and then we have to use a key code dot let's say I want the players to press K to jump, right? So I'll use K. I have to make sure that also and extra jumps are higher than 0, so players can't jump when the value of extra jumps are less than 0. Okay, I hope that's understandable. And okay, so what you need to do is when the player press K, what do you want them to do? Obviously you want them to jump, right? So you have to make them jump. So we have to change the velocity of the rigid body 2D. So what we're doing is rigid dot velocity equals to vector 2. Okay, vector 2 dot up times by jump force, which I will explain to you guys later on when we actually go to the inspectors and do stuff. Yeah, and then we also have to make sure that the extra jumps would be taken away, so it's extra jumps minus 1 equals minus 1. Actually I'll just do this. Okay, so after that we have to also do else if. Okay, I need to check another statement. Else if input dot get key down, it's the same thing. Key code dot k and extra jumps equals to 0 and grounded equals to true. Then we do this. Okay, then we do rig dot velocity equals vector up, vector 2 dot up times it by jump force again. Okay, so yeah, so that should work, I think. Okay, that should work. Okay, so we press K, right? Oh wait, we haven't set it up yet. All right, so okay, so the jump force is the the height that you jump. So if I put 100, right, the player is obviously gonna be, actually I'm gonna have to set the other things as well. So check ground. What is the ground? That is the ground. Drag the ground in, the yellow thing that I've told you guys to add. Okay, so drag that in, check the radius. I'll put mine to 0.5. The radius is like here. Okay, so you just check it. What is ground? You have to set it to ground, which is the layer ground. So this would tell the script that the ground is the ground, and then the amount of jumps in value that you want the player to have. Let's say I want them to be able to only jump once. Okay, so you change that to 1. Okay, so let's see. Okay, and then I jump. As you can see, the player is way off the screen. God knows where he's gone now. Okay, I don't know where he's gone. Okay. Alright, let's just change that 100 to like, I don't know, like 5. Okay, so it's just a little jump. Okay, as you can see, jump once. You can't jump like in the air, even though like I'm tapping the buttons. But if you change this like 3, then you can jump like 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, but you can't jump more than 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. Yeah, and that's about it. So yeah. Oh yeah, one last thing. So okay, I'll show you guys. Okay, so I'll drag that in, make that a 4. You also, you also might want to change your player rotations into like, if you press this constraints and then set the Z to like freeze rotations, that should be better. Okay, so okay, 1 second, let me just drag this like here. Okay, so when the player collides with the wall, it will just like stay there, right? So to change that, yeah, you're gonna have to add a physics material 2D, call it whatever you want, and then you have to change the friction into 0, right? And then you go back to player, you have to add that friction, the physics, into the rigid bodies material section, which is here. So now we run it, it will just collide down, it won't like get stuck. Okay. You also might want to change the collision detection into continuous. Okay, it's just a lot smoother, trust me, it's just a lot smoother. Okay, so yeah, that's about it.